UK boxing blogger coming right back at ya. Right, just about to play my channel exclusive interview that I participated in earlier on with EJ Boxing Live, Boxing Beats and Rhymes, and Chris Caban. Hope you enjoy, guys.
We have Mr. James Ali Bashir online. That's Klitschko's trainer, one of Vladimir Klitschko's trainer, alongside Jonathan Banks and all them guys. And we got EJ Boxing Live. We got UK blogger, and we have Chris Caban. And we're gonna talk some boxing. So how we doing, Mr. Bashir?
I'm doing okay. Everything's going well.
Okay. So the big fight is on Saturday.
The big fight is on Saturday.
Man. So
Come round quick.
okay, what's the first thought that comes into your head? So close to the big occasion. This is the mandatory.
I spoke to Vladimir nearly 2 years ago in reference to Kubrat Pulev, and I thought then 2 years ago I told Vladimir that this guy is coming, this guy is for real, and he'll probably be the toughest guy we faced in the last 5-6 fights. Because of his willingness to engage, because of the belief in himself, he's not afraid, he's confident, he's arrogant. He has all the ingredients of a guy that comes to upset the apple cart. So yeah, I'm kind of leery of him, but that's boxing. That's what we live for. We live for boxing. And we live for competitive fights, and I feel that this is going to be a tough fight. I told Vladimir that again not more than 3 hours ago, that I feel that this is going to be a tough fight. And, well, he never underestimates any opponent, and he certainly doesn't underestimate Kubrat Pulev. And with the cautioning that I've imposed on him in these last 2 years or so, he knows what we're up against. He's well aware of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, EJ Boxing Live here, Mr. Bashir. So which sparring partners have you used to imitate Pulev's style?
Oh, we've used a host of sparring partners, from 168 pounders all the way up to 205 pounders. Nothing over 205 pounds. The only one that was really over 205 pounds was Kevin Johnson. Everybody else has been pretty light fighters, pretty quick fighters, moved a lot of herky-jerky movement and stuff. And I think we're in a good place for this fight. I don't think that Kubrat Pulev is going to show us anything that we are not expecting.
Great.
UK boxing blogger news here. How are we today, James?
I'm fine. Thank God I'm fine.
Nice. Right, yeah, just got a question. Is Klitschko, is he going to neutralize the attack of Pulev by going on the attack, or is he going to keep it at distance and do what he normally does? He's got any new tools that he's going to show the new fans?
Well, I think that styles make fights. I think that Kubrat Pulev is the kind of guy that's going to make Vladimir come out of his shell and really bang with him, because Pulev is the kind of guy you have to establish yourself early on in the fight. Otherwise, he tries to set the tempo and the pace. So Vladimir, you can expect something to happen within those first 3 minutes. Something's going to happen to make a statement to say who's going to, set the tempo in this fight.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Sounds exciting.
Styles. Kubrat Pulev is an arrogant guy, and he believes in himself. And I think that he's going to come and try to start a fight. I really believe that.
That should be an excellent watch for the fans then. So maybe looking past Pulev a bit, do you think that Vladimir's going to be going after the WBC strap anytime soon? Can we look forward to any future matchup?
I don't want to be disrespectful to either one of these fighters by even thinking about going after the WBC or any other belt. Right now, we got Kubrat Pulev in front of us, and that's a very, very live underdog.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
Chris Caban, we see boxing.
Yeah, I want to ask, with the stuff Shannon Briggs did recently, you think there's any?
Pardon me?
I think Chris.
Go ahead. He's got reception problem. Go ahead, Beats.
So, what do you think is the biggest threat? Like, what does Pulev possess that you guys have to worry about, or are we privy to that? Are you going to keep that a secret?
It's no secret. He has a good jab. he has heart. He has courage, and he's coming to fight. I don't get the impression, and I never have had the impression that he was afraid of Vladimir. Whereas a lot of guys that come in the ring is afraid of Vladimir. I don't get that impression from Kubrat Pulev. I think that this guy is legit. I think that he's coming to fight, and we have to be on our P's and Q's to beat him.
Definitely. Lee?
Yeah, I've got one question for you, James. Obviously, we're UK based guys. We would like to know, like a lot of the fans would like to know how the sparring went with Anthony Joshua and Klitschko, and if you were present, and what do you think of our new rising star?
I was present, and I worked with Joshua the full time that he was in the camp. I was prepping him for each sparring session. I worked the pads with him. I worked the floor with him. I wrapped his hands. I did everything with him. He's a gentleman. But again, he's a young green guy, and he did about as well as he was expected to do, He stood in, he held his own, he didn't embarrass himself at all. At this stage of his career, he did about what he was expected to do. But in my opinion, I spoke to Joshua about it, during the sparring, I thought that Joshua wasn't doing what he was capable of doing. So I told him, you have to open up, because that's why we brought you here. We brought you here to fight back. Joshua was being very respectful of Vladimir, but then at the later rounds, the last 7 or 8 rounds, he started opening up a little bit, and the sparring got very interesting. It was very interesting sparring.
Do you think that might have played a part in the way he come out against Baktov?
No, I think he would have came out like that anyway.
Yeah, but he seemed to come out like in a different way, like he was more confident and more ferocious than he's been before. Because he's laid it on guys before, but time...
after being in with Vladimir Klitschko, I said to Joshua, and he'll tell you, I told Joshua in between rounds, I said, listen to me. You need to go out here and you need to throw some punches. He told me right during the exchange in the corner, he said that he didn't want to be disrespectful. I said, disrespectful? I said, if you don't punch back, you're going to be looking up at the ceiling.
Yeah.
And start punching back.
Can we ask you a question quick while we're on Anthony Joshua, the last one? Do you think there's some debate over in this country of a talent such as himself? Do you think he's got the right trainer?
No.
Do you think he needs to...
No.
No.
In working with him, I saw a multitude of things that need to be corrected right now. And only the trained eye can see that. I mean, boxing in many ways is a mockery now, where you could put world-class fighters or world-class amateurs with just a pretty face, or a guy they knew from the neighborhood. This is not to knock any of the people that's training him, because I don't know what their qualifications are in boxing. All I know is that I don't know them, and if I don't know them, I'm trying to find out where have they been, because I've been around this thing for 43 years, and in 43 years I know about who around the world. But having said that, I believe that he needs to get more of an education before he goes after guys like the guy he's going to fight, Kevin Johnson or Eddie Chambers. He's better get some education if he's going to fight those guys, because as beatable as they may seem, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't make that move, because they can cause problems. Big problems.
Oh,
yeah. I want to stay with it because we got a championship fight. We can talk about Joshua a bit later, certainly, if you like. Let's try and stick with because we got a world championship fight and we got the coach here. Pulev is saying that the footwork is going to be key. This is going to be a long fight, in my opinion, because he's going to really try to use his feet. He's going to do everything not to let Vladimir clinch him. And one thing I noticed when Vladimir fought Mario Swak, he wasn't able to lean on him, and that's why it was one of his better fights.
Right.
How do you respond to
like I said, I've always said that it takes two to tango. So if Kubrat Pulev can create an atmosphere that makes Vladimir move and box, then we welcome that. Team Klitschko welcomes that. And as far as footwork is concerned, I don't think there's a heavyweight out there that has better footwork than Vladimir Klitschko. Not a single one. And if there's a single heavyweight out there right now that has better footwork than Vladimir Klitschko, please mention him. Bring him up. Show me who it is.
Well, yeah.
Nobody.
I think he proved that in the David Hay fight. It was masterful. Yeah.
He proved that in the Marius Watt fight.
Yeah,
No.
that was a good fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He proved that there's not a heavyweight out there that has better footwork than Vladimir Klitschko. And if there is, I challenge that person to come forward. Show me one of them. So if Kubrat Pulev is trying to rest his hat on footwork, he's in for a dance tonight, because this guy is a big guy and he can move, and he invests himself in moving around that ring. To be a big guy like Vladimir Klitschko, you don't see that very much. You don't see that kind of boxing movement.
So how does the whole the camp feel about getting back on HBO? Because it's been a long time they've been ignoring the champ.
Well, the more the merry, the more the merry, and I caution Vladimir, you got HBO, they were there, I think, for the Hay fight, and they were definitely there for the Marius Watt fight. No, they was there for the fight we had in Russia.
You talking about Povetkin?
Povetkin fight.
This is your chance to shine again. Go out there and do a good job. But I think, again, the chemistry has a lot to do with the way the fight is fought, and these guys don't like each other, and that make me a happy camper. I'm glad they don't like each other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to it, but I'm going to tell you, this ain't going to be a slugfest. This is going to be a boxing match. Pulev isn't going to try and bang Klitschko. He's not that stupid. He's a very crafty dude. He's going to try and
outbox him.
He's going to try and outbox Vlad.
You know what? It might be a good fight, because he's not going to outbox Vladimir Klitschko. Nobody is. So this is going to be a really good fight. Kubrat Pulev, to me, does a lot of things that Vladimir does, but Vladimir does it better. If you look at their styles, Kubrat Pulev does a lot of things that Vladimir does, but Vladimir does them better. So I'm looking for. I'm a fan too. Yeah. I'm a teacher. I'm a boxing trainer, but I'm a fan at the same time. So I'm just gonna be sitting back with a bag of popcorn, watching the fight.
The best view. You got the best view in the world, man. Right in the corner.
Yeah. I'm behind the corner. I'm not gonna be in the corner. Jonathan Banks is gonna be in the corner.
Okay.
You don't think with the styles of the fighters, like, it can come a bit cagey? I think it's going to be a boxing.
Who's more cagier than Vladimir Klitschko? This is the question that I keep asking these guys. Who's more cagier than him? Who you call cagey?
Yeah, well, do you think Pulev's going to come out there and swing on him? I think. Do you think Pulev's going to come out and swing on Vladimir?
Kubrat Pulev has no other recourse but to come after Klitschko, because he can't outbox him, he can't outpunch him, he can't outslug him. He's got to go for the lottery. He's got to make something happen behind the jab, overhand rights. He's got to try to play the lottery. That's what he has to do. Other than that, he's going to take a bad calculated beating over 12 rounds. So Vladimir Klitschko, I'm telling you, is ready. He's ready. He's ready.
That's what we were asking. I think. Do you think if the opponents, like some are, or they are quite satisfied to just take that? Well, they're not quite satisfied, but once they get outboxed, they're quite satisfied to continuously be outboxed. So it seems sometimes. But do you think Vladimir is going to do anything different to come out and put a nice statement for HBO and the fans, to bring some excitement back?
I would be putting the cart before the horse if I said that he was going to do that. I don't know what's going to happen when that bell rings. Like I said, chemistry, attitudes, personas comes into play when they enter that ring, so you never can say what's going to happen. But I do believe that Kubrat Pulev is going to try to jump on Vladimir and try to disrupt his rhythm and try to get him out of his game. I predict that's going to happen.
To be honest, like Vlad, I know Vlad. You're the coach, but I know Vlad pretty well. Vlad and Vitali, they're not going to change their game plan. I mean, it's stupid. To change. Like, if it works, why change it? Why, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The onus is on Pulev to bring something to Vlad that he hasn't seen. You know, and I think this is really interesting because if he can make Vlad reach with the jab, we have a fight on our hands. We have a
Reach
fight
for,
on our hands.
I think Lad's jab is longer than Pulev's jab.
Yeah, Pulev.
Yeah, but it's the footwork,
Jab
like he
is longer
says.
than
It's the
Pulev's-
footwork. It's the
I
footwork.
think Lad's jab is longer than Pulev's by 2.5 inches. Vladimir is a studious boxer. Before he's a puncher, he's a very studious boxer. If Pulev comes out and tries to box Vladimir Klitschko, I could tell you it's a foregone conclusion about who's going to win the fight and who's going to take the beating.
Okay, Chris Caban? I guess he still has his network problem. Go ahead, Lee. Lee.
Well, I'll ask Chris Caban's question. I think I heard enough to know that what he wants to ask. I'll give it my best go. Basically, I think he wanted to know. Shannon Briggs is obviously following Vladimir about. You know, is the days of accepting confrontational fights on the back of wanting to show pride? Will Vladimir take that fight and answer all the doubters out there and put a hiding on Briggs or?
Well, I mean, again, Shannon Briggs is doing what he has to do to get paid. I mean, Antonio Tarver did it. Muhammad Ali did it. Countless others have done it. You know, they got into the champion's face, they got into his head, and basically goaded him into a fight. So I don't have any qualms about Shannon doing that. I respect him. The guy doing what he got to do to make his money. But as far as respectability, I think Vladimir Klitschko still has respect, despite the fact that he hasn't looked good in a couple of fights. But I still think he's respected by the boxing community as a guy that can fight, a guy that will fight, and a guy that can hurt you. He's capable of it if he has the right partner to do the tango with.
Yeah. So do you think? So will Vlad accept Shannon Briggs' challenge? Because I know for one, I know Pulev's credentials at this moment in time is a worthier challenge, but I'd probably want to see the Shannon Briggs fight, controversially, more than the Pulev fight, in my opinion.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Because of the hype. But realistically, you got to base it on what the guys Shannon are fighting. Shannon, at some point in his travel back to the championship, is going to have to get in the water with somebody to solidify his challenge to the throne.
Well, he is ranked number 7 by the WBA.
Yeah.
And he's got a proven history as a decent high-level fighter, and he seems to be in good shape. I think the story sometimes should just sell itself. You know, I think people just want to see the fight. You know, sometimes it ain't about the rankings. You know,
But
I think Vladimir...
that's quite a long way away, isn't it, really? I mean, because, look, I know you want to see that, but this is the heavyweight championship of the world. This guy's been fighting in Hooters recently.
Yeah.
You know, Vlad just can't fight him like that. I mean, he'd lose all credibility if he just went in with my guy right now. I mean, I know you'd rather see that, but the credible challenge is here on Saturday. This is a very meaningful fight, even from a historical impact on Saturday. This is a real fight.
Mr. Bashir, so he's closing in on Joe Lewis's record. How you feel the significance of Glad's the opponents of what he's been facing compared to Joe Lewis? Because you know he's very close to tying the record.
You know, I don't think Lad is facing any more lesser opponents than Joe faced at this point in his career.
Mm.
If you look at the guy Joe was facing along this point in his career, I don't think Lad is facing anybody less than that. So you know that's what it is. It is what it is. You know.
So why don't you? So if why don't you think Vlad is getting, at least from America and other territory, why do you think he isn't getting the adulation like a Joe Lewis was?
You know, I saw somebody had wrote an article on Chris Algieri saying that dumb fans like fighters that get beaten up, you know, that wants to get beaten up. But you can't condemn a guy for going out there fighting. He's getting paid to fight. He's getting paid to do things that other people are not capable of doing. It's like the guy that walked across those two buildings last week. You know, he's walking up in Chicago over some high buildings with a tightrope act. And people came to pay attention to him and endorsements and things like that because he was doing something that nobody else can do. So, yeah, I think that Vladimir Klitschko is an artist. And I think that, again, the opponents have a lot to do with the way he fights. You know? Mike Tyson was the kind of guy that was going to bring you out of your shell. That Mike Tyson, that first 4 years, was a monster. Like him or hate him, he was a monster. And he made you come out your shell. Whatever you did, Mike made you come out your shell and fight. Mike sent you a message saying that either you fight or you get knocked out. It's as simple as that. These guys that get in with Vladimir Klitschko are contributing to the way he fights. We haven't had no beasts like heavyweights to come up and say, no, this is what you're going to do. You're going to fight the way I want you to fight, and there's no questions about it.
But is Vladimir aware that he's closing on Joe Lewis's record of defenses? Is he aware of that? And is there
I'm sure that he's aware, but he doesn't pay attention to it. In his own words, I'm having fun right now. Vladimir Klitschko, what people don't understand is Vladimir Klitschko is not doing this as a laborious job. He's doing this because he likes it. He loves boxing. He loves to work out. He loves to go to camp and get ready. He likes what he's doing. And I tell the guys in the camp all the time, listen, take advantage of this here. I told Anthony Joshua, all of those young guys, you need to stay here in the morning times and pay attention to what this guy's doing. Because you're probably witnessing one of the greatest top 6 heavyweights in the history of this sport. They said, nah. You know, people say, no. But, yeah, longevity is greatness. All right? Like it or not, longevity is greatness. He's had a successful reign. He's been on top for a very long time. I says, stay in the gym. Ask questions. Pay attention to what's going on. Because you're probably witnessing one of the greatest all-time heavyweights of all time because of his successful reign. You can't dismiss that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Chris Caban? I guess it's
I agree with.
Go, Chris. Go, Chris.
Go ahead, Chris.
I agree with Ali Bashir.
You have to speak up, Chris. Can't hear you. What you say?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
say I agree with Ali Bashir. Until somebody makes him fight, which I don't think there's nobody out there in the heavyweight division can do that. I think he's gonna retire with the belts.
Yeah, what's your question towards Mr. Bashir, Chris?
I had the Shannon Briggs question, but my mic went out, and I think like I heard somebody say they should wait, but the longer that waits, I think Shannon Briggs is gonna take a beating. The longer the wait, need to fight him now. But other than that, I think PULEV is gonna get beat Saturday, and I think Klitschko is gonna retire with the belts.
I think that Shannon Briggs can still fight. But like all warriors, you know, sometimes our expectations of ourselves exceeds what we can really physically, mentally, and spiritually do. You know, I mean, a lot of times I've sat back on a couch and said, you know what, I can beat that guy. And then I go in the gym for 3 days and say, this is a joke. I might as well go home, you know, because I don't feel like it. So I'm not saying that's Shannon, but I'm saying that he's going to have to get in the water and prove himself to the public before they can sell the fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least one decent win, like a half credible win.
He's got to get a credible win, and you know, if he can knock a credible guy out, that would go a long way to getting him that fight. But as it stands, he hasn't competed against that level of fighter yet. Shannon Briggs is my friend. I trained Shannon for 2 of his fights, Abraham O'Kine and Ray Mercer. I've trained Shannon for those 2 fights. And I stayed in his house. His wife cooked dinner for me. I know his kids. I know them, you know. But I do know that I've been around a lot of heavyweights. You know, throughout my career as a boxing trainer, starting in Deer Lake, Pennsylvania, in the Muhammad Ali's camp, and I saw them all come to that camp. Michael Dokes, Tony Tubbs, Tony Tucker, you know, you name it, I saw it come to that camp. Tim Witherspoon, Michael Dokes, I saw them all come to that camp. Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Matthew Saab Muhammad, you name it, I saw them come to the Muhammad Ali's camp. And let me tell you something. I've been around a lot of big guys in my time, and I have not seen so many that was so committed and so dedicated and so workmanship as Vladimir Klitschko.
Well,
The only one that really came close to Vladimir Klitschko when it comes to workmanship, in my mind, in my memory bank, was Lennox Lewis. Outside of that, outside of that, it's gonna be a tough climb.
no disrespect, guys. I don't want to dictate the interview. I don't want to do that. But I think talking about Shannon Briggs right now, it's not appropriate, man. Like not right now, because he's so far off a credible title shot.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that real. You know. But Hayden Panettiere, they're saying the baby. And has he just got engaged to this young lady? I think she's an actress. They're saying that I've heard that Vlad could be potentially distracted. Is that a possibility?
Negative. Negative. Distracted? It's distracted. It would take a train. It would have to take a locomotive to distract Vladimir Klitschko.
Can I ask you a question, James? Realistically,
Hold on.
He's as focused. He's as focused as you can get. I just asked myself, I said, at 63 years old, man, why didn't I meet this guy when I was 23, so I can be with him 40 more years, He's a trainer's dream. He's a manager's dream. Everything functions like a heartbeat in the champs camp. Nothing changes, and that's what I like about him, consistency. He never comes in and says, oh, I had an argument with my girlfriend last night. Oh, I broke my fingernail last night. Oh, I can't be at training today. Oh, you're working me too hard. Work hard. Too hard. I've never heard him say work hard in the 10 years that I've worked with him. For 10 years, this camp works like a heartbeat, man. Like a heartbeat.
Okay.
Never disruptive, never out of place, never out of timing. This is the champs camp, and I'm telling you, if somebody's waiting for him to run out of gas, if somebody's waiting for him to get tired, waiting for him to fall, they'll be waiting a long time. It's not happening, I'm telling you.
So, what I wanted to ask, so has fatherhood changed him at all? Not at all?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm telling you.
Is he more focused?
He's going to be basically the same. I don't see no change in him. I don't see no change in his attitude or his work ethic or anything. So, I don't think it's going to be anything extra, anything deleted.
Okay. There's been a lot of it's took up a lot of headlines. His wife though, I don't know why. Why is it taking up so much headlines?
She's an actress. He's a championship boxer. So people live for the fantasy.
Okay. All
right. I learned a long time ago to stay in my lane.
Yeah, exactly.
I get paid for boxing, and I stay out of all that other BS. It's none of my business,
100%.
Like Kermit the Frog said, it's none of my business.
I agree.
Kevin Rooney talked himself out of a multi-million-dollar payday by running his mouth about Robin Givens, and you see where that got him at, right?
Yeah.
That got him in. That put him in a hole that he never got out of.
Yep.
Mike Tyson let him go, and Kevin Rooney just disappeared.
Okay. So what I wanted to ask, really, because before Chris comes in, does Vlad read a lot of what they say about him in the press? Does he read it? Does he take
Vladimir is aware. Vladimir Klitschko is a very articulate human being, and he's aware of everything that's being said about him, everything that goes on around him. He's aware. At some point in his busy life, he takes time out and he knows what's going on. He knows what people are saying about him, and he's concerned about it. And sometimes I say things to him that maybe I shouldn't say, but I can't help it because I'm just being myself. We get into it every now and then about the different things I say to him, but he's aware of what goes on in the fans' minds and hearts.
Okay.
Is that something that you feel he's gonna want to try and address in performances, or is he just gonna stay on his game and be consistent?
No, it's saying that he wants to do better. He realizes that some of the fights has been less than stellar, and he wants to be better. He tells me. I'm telling you what he tells me. We talk like father and son all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
What's
So
your
fans
thoughts
tuning
on,
in. Fans tuning in can expect a really good Vladimir performance and a really good fight this time. Then
Again, like I said, the chemistry is what makes it a good fight. On paper, it's a good fight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that is going to. I think because of the chemistry, it's going to be explosive. I think it's going to get explosive. And somewhere in this fight, a fight is going to break out.
Wow, that's good to hear. That's good to hear for the fight fans. Chris Caban, we see boxing. Go ahead.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on the upcoming fight between Tyson Fury and Derek Chisora?
It's a pick 'em. I'd pick if I had to bend right now, I'd take Tyson Fury because of boxing skills. But it heavily depends on what Derek shows up. That's what the dependency is on. What Derek shows up can decide the outcome of that fight.
That's very interesting. What the Derek you're talking? Which Derek are we talking about? The Derek, Derek's best performance against Helenius or against Vitaly Klitschko? That Derek? Is that what you're talking about?
A Derek that wants to be there. Derek that's not distracted. A Derek that's going to be consistent with Derek's style. No inconsistencies. No start and stop. No start and stop. Just a choo-choo train. A locomotive that's going forward and bombing the way that he does. Wow. That's his best look. That's his best look because he's not going to stay outside and try to box with this guy.
So what you're suggesting is that Derek stay up close and just beat the body, but keep knocking down the body and later on, try and take him out that way?
No, he should mix his attack. He shouldn't concentrate just on the body. He should mix body shots with head shots. Mix your attack. Mix your attack and keep the pressure on. Make Tyson fight every second of every round. If he's capable of doing that. And by all this time that he's had out, I would think so, that he's in good shape enough to do that.
Yeah, he's been more active than Fury. He's been inactive, and he's fought the better competition at this point as well.
That might be to Tyson's undoing because Tyson's had a couple of fallouts, and I don't know how religious he is in working in the gym. I'm sure that him and Eddie Chambers and Huey Fury, I'm sure they're working together, keeping it up. But nothing represents Derek Chisora. Maybe they brought in small partners to emulate him. But Derek Chisora is a tough customer when he's in shape and he wants to do it. He's a tough customer.
So what do you that the winner out of that is definitely a mandatory for the WVO, and obviously Glad has that belt. So that fight be down the line. And who would you prefer out of two for Glad to fight?
Makes no difference to us.
Okay.
I get the impression though that Vlad doesn't want to deal with them because of their temperaments and their arrogant, sort of aggressive.
Klitschko's seen it. This guy's an Olympic gold medalist. He's got over 50-something fights, close to 60 fights. He's seen it all. It doesn't make a difference whether Derek Chisora wins or whether Tyson Fury wins. I don't think either one of them can beat him.
No, I'm not talking about in the ring. I'm talking about actually just press conferences and the build-up. I don't think Vlad wants
As I said, he's seen it all.
Okay.
He's seen it all. He's not going to be fazed by that, by what Tyson does or what Derek does. Both of them are characters, And for me, I like the guys. I like Derek and I like Tyson because they're good for boxing.
You don't think Tyson Fury sometimes can go a little far with the tweets? And
but that's boxing. That's boxing. You got all kinds of characters. And that doesn't rattle me a bit, and I don't think it rattles Tyson, Vladimir Klitschko. I don't think it rattles him a bit. It's just boxing. Okay. I don't condemn Tyson Fury or Derek Chisora for what they do. Those are colorful guys, and I like it. It's entertaining. It's an escape from the norm. So The more the merrier. Come on, bring it.
But I just get the impression that like Vlad likes to keep it like civil and no one acting, way over the top and too absurd. I get this feeling that him and Vitaly rather a conservative build up, handshakes and no cursing. I just get they don't want to get bogged into a circus act.
That's what makes the sport interesting when you've got two opposites. When you got two opposites, that's what makes the sport interesting.
Yep.
So I'm all for it. Tyson Fury wins, Derek Chisora wins. Bring on the winners. The more the merrier. I want these guys to win. I want them guys to do good. I want them to look good. Whoever wins, I want them to look good doing so. So it will add that much more mustard to the heavyweight division. So yeah, I'm rooting for them guys. I want to see that fight.
Yeah.
Personally, I like both guys. Both guys, I'm a fan of them. I like them. Let's fight. That's what we're in the sport for, fight.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lee.
Right, yeah, see, I've just got two last questions for you from my side. First of all, the first one is, Vlad's obviously 38 now. How many years do you see him going at the highest level?
I see Vlad going another 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, his enthusiasm would make me think he can go another 7 years. Vladimir Klitschko, what people has got to understand is, Vladimir Klitschko is a child with a new toy. He is working to be better. Even at this stage of his career, he's anxious to learn. And I love it. I love working with him. Man, I love it, And I'll tell you something. They said that Drew Bundini, that worked with Muhammad Ali, they said Drew Bundini, after he worked with Muhammad Ali, after Muhammad Ali retired, he tried to work with James Quick Tillis. But he couldn't find that mojo. He couldn't find that kind of zeal and excitement. And they said that he retired to a rooming house. And one day they went to the room and they found him dead. And when they did the autopsy, they said the guy died from natural causes. But the lady that owned the rooming house said that he died from loneliness. He died because he was lonely. When Muhammad Ali stopped, that was the end for him. She said he died. He sat in that room and he died from loneliness because he couldn't get himself on track.
Wow.
So I'm just so all the years that Vladimir Klitschko is in the saddle, I just hope that it's not like that for me, because this has been a glorious ride for me. I love working with him because it's always it's like, you remember the Cracker Jack box? When you open the Cracker Jack box, you didn't know what kind of surprise you was going to get on the inside of the box. That's what it's like working with Vladimir Klitschko. When I look inside the box, it's always some excitement that every fight brings. So Derek Chisora and Tyson Fury, they would bring a lot of excitement, and I'm just excited with the possibility of thinking that we could face off against one of those guys. They're good fighters, and I want to face off against them. I want to see what happens.
Great.
Yeah, brilliant.
So,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit off track here, but just the last, it's just like just an answer that the fans really want to know. Some people just like the Shannon Briggs coming into Klitschko training camps. Is it staged sometimes? Because it does baffle a lot of people that he manages to get in so close. Why wouldn't Vlad just stop it?
A lot of the times I'm not there. A lot of the times I'm not there, and Vladimir hasn't said to me that it was staged. I don't get the impression from when speaking to Vladimir Klitschko, I don't get the impression that it's staged. I don't think that Vladimir really likes that. I think it gets under his skin sometimes, so I don't get the impression. So if it is staged, I don't know nothing about it.
Okay, right. Well, thanks for that answer.
Chris Caban? Okay, Chris, we got boxing beats.
So what's happening to Alexander Usyk?
Alexander Usyk, directly after Vladimir Klitschko's fight on the 15th, on the 17th, I'll return to the Ukraine, and we'll be boxing again on the 13th or either the 20th of December again. He won the WBO
international, isn't it?
Intercontinental title.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
first offense in the month of December.
Okay.
I
Excellent fighter.
got a very studious fighter in that young man.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
have a very studious fighter, a very obedient fighter, and I'm looking for some big things from him in the future.
Yeah, I watched him outplay Berbetiev as an amateur, man, and they're talking up Berbetiev pretty high. So he was mixing in high company. So
Right.
he's one to look out for. He's definitely one to look out for, Definitely.
Yeah, I think that he's going to be a good fighter, And Bebetev, he's fighting at what, light heavy?
Yeah, light heavy, yeah.
Yeah. Usyk is a strong, willing fighter. He's a very spiritual fighter, very disciplined fighter, and he has all the earmarks of being a great champion someday. But time will tell.
I'm looking at the future, man, and between cruiser and light heavyweight, there could be some good Russian face-offs because you've got Bebertiev, you've got Kovalev, and you've got your boy there. So I think the Russians are coming in at the party hard right now, man.
You know what? I think the future of boxing lies in Kazakhstan, Moscow, and Ukraine. I think tomorrow's boxing stars are going to come out of that region.
Can I ask you something, James? Do you think that's because of the amateur background? Like the amateur game, all the amateur world rank guys seem to be from that region, and they do very well. Do you think we're missing a step?
I think that in those countries, they're deprived of a lot of things that people from Great Britain, America, and all these other places, they're deprived of liberties in those countries that we take for granted.
Mm.
Hunger, it boils down to hunger and desire and discipline. Those guys are very disciplined fighters. You look at Triple G, you understand? You look at the guy that just beat the Polish guy for the cruiserweight title, WBA cruiserweight belt. So you got to watch those guys because a lot of times they're deprived of different liberties that they don't have in those places. And for some reason, they're more disciplined and more focused when they come to the gym to work. And it's not a lot of back talk. With American fighters, British fighters, they always got ideas bigger than the trainers. I got guys that come in and tell me, young guys that's telling me, I do this, I do that. I say, how old are you? And they say 26. 26? Yeah, this is how I do it. That's how you do it? You're 26 years old. You're telling me this is how you do it? I shake their hand and say, have a nice day, young man. I wish you well with that. And I'll leave them alone. I don't have that kind of time. I'm 63 years old. I ain't got no time to be fucking around with somebody that's going to be a hardhead. Either you listen to me or you take that shit and go somewhere else. I don't need that.
Mm.
I don't want that. I don't need that because stress kills.
Yes.
I probably got more years behind me than I have in front of me. I hope I got 45 more years to give to boxing. Most likely, I'm going to probably die on a plane or die in the ring somewhere in a gym somewhere in the world because I love what I do.
Yeah.
But I refuse to waste time with people who are not wise enough and not bright enough in the mind to see that they're being given a gift. If I'm working with you, then that's a gift. Because I got 43 years of hard experience, hard-earned experience. Nobody gave me nothing. Yeah. Nobody came up and said, here's Manny Pacquiao to train. Nobody came up and gave me nothing. Everything I got because I earned the right to be there.
Yeah.
So I don't have time to waste with people who want to be smart, wise guys. If you want to be a wise guy, okay, good luck with that. But raw talent is only going to get you so far. You're going to have to get someone to teach you the rudiments, not the basics, the rudiments of boxing, the language of boxing. You're going to have a old sage to teach you. And if you don't, your youth, your strength, your physical attributes are only going to get you so far before you get knocked off. Mark my words. I see that they're taking Anthony Joshua, and they're saying, Joshua, you're going to fight Kevin Johnson, then you're going to fight Eddie Chambers. That's a tall order. I don't think it's a wise move, but hey, maybe they know better than I know. If I was the brain trust of Anthony Joshua, I would be taking Joshua in a whole different direction other than Eddie Chambers and Kevin Johnson. He may just go on to beat those guys. Maybe, possibly. I never will say never, but in all likelihood, I doubt it. I doubt it. Guys got too much experience. They've been to the dance a few times. And Joshua's not going to show them guys nothing that they haven't already seen. Trust me. So.
See, the thing is,
Well said.
like,
We've got a couple
sorry,
of big...
one sec, Lee. One sec. Sorry, Lee. Sorry. Just give me a second. Yeah? Like Hatman TV, yeah. He's been talking about what opponents world champions like Tyson was facing in their 10th fight, and Vlad was facing guys like Mark Young and Mark Wills, who had good wins at one stage, but by the time Vlad fought them, they were good trial horses. So at this stage, like Vlad wasn't fighting guys like Eddie Chambers, I don't think, and Kevin Johnson in his 10th fight, was it?
It's been too long, and I have to look back on his records, but I doubt it. I mean, I'm thinking from a manager's point of view, long before I even get to the trainer's point of view. I'm thinking from a manager's point of view. Eddie Chambers and Kevin Johnson would be on my to-do list right now. I wouldn't put them on my to-do list. I would go another way and get a little more education for Anthony Joshua. As my understanding, Joshua didn't have a lot of amateur experience.
No, he didn't.
He's a big, strong guy. He has some athletic ability. And like I said, I won't say he can't beat those guys, but in all likelihood, I don't think so.
Well, people were saying that he more than held his own when he was sparring with Vlad. That's one.
Yeah. I was there when he sparred him each time, and he held his own. He did is about as good or maybe better than what expected. And I was there. I was a witness to the sparring. It was very good sparring. It was competitive sparring. It was competitive sparring. But Latimer Klitschko's a tall guy. He's a tall boxer. He's not Eddie Chambers. He's not Kevin Johnson. You're talking two slippery guys. You're talking about two slippery boxers. You understand? Very slippery boxers. And when you slip up with them, they can wear your ass out in 5 rounds.
Okay, yeah. See, Lee, sorry, Lee. I just want to dialogue with get a question. Like, in my opinion, you can tell by the heavyweight division, the African American, who was so dominant, they're not as dominant. Is it because they're not listening to the coaches, or is it they're not with the work ethic that it takes to get there?
It's just a new wave, a new mentality of boxing people. The yuppies, that I call them, are running boxing. You've got all kinds of conditioning coaches and this guy. You got this guy, Alex Ariza. I always hear about this guy, Alex Ariza. And come to find out he's a conditioning coach. I said, well, how in the world did he get all in the headline? It just shows the state of boxing. You understand? That a conditioning coach can grab headlines and says, oh, Alex Ariza said this, Alex Ariza said that. All of a sudden, he's the guru of boxing? Has boxing sunk to an all-time low that a conditioning coach can come in? Well, guess what? Ray Robinson, Henry Armstrong, Sonny Liston, all of those guys won those titles, maintained those titles the good old-fashioned way, and they didn't have no conditioning coaches. The conditioning coaches that I worked with over the years, to me, they're just a bunch of con artists selling themselves. People say, yeah, but this is a new day and medicine is different and that day. I don't give a damn what kind of medicine you take. When that bell rings, you better be able to fight. You're going to get your ass kicked.
Agreed. But isn't there anything good, new that's happened? It can't just be all old-fashioned. Isn't there anything new that's beneficial to boxers these days?
Maybe I'm missing something. You tell me.
I don't know. You're a trainer, so I'm just.
I trained boxers the same way I trained boxers in 1970. All right? I don't add nothing on. I don't take nothing off. When I boxed, they didn't even use no mitts. Now everybody and their mother got a pair of mitts, and they make it look like that this is the holy grail for boxing.
Right.
No, it's not. Mitts only make up for a fifth of what boxers need in a boxing ring. A fifth, not even a fourth, a fifth.
Fifth.
Everybody and their mother got mitts, slapping, making noise, and making sounds, and doing theoretics with it and all. And they make it look like this is the holy grail if you want to become a good trainer or a good boxer. And I think the whole thing is a BS bozo clown show. All right? That's not what this is all about. You understand? The old school boxer learned more and they held titles more. You have more better fights because they went to school in the gyms. In the gyms where I trained at, we would train for 2.5 to 3 hours before we got out that gym as amateurs. And before we left the gym, we'd have to sit down and watch some films. Now a guy comes in the gym at 4 o'clock and at 6 o'clock, he's going out the door. Many of them with their girlfriends. So I'm saying, what kind of shit is that?
See, this day and age, you get a lot of training camps now. Back in the day, you hear about training camps where they used to go off and segregate themselves properly. And now you get it where they're all sort of surrounding themselves with lots of friends. They've got their wives with them and all of this and that. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing for boxing?
I think it's a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing that you have your friends and your wives and stuff, you know, and I'm sure that I'll get arguments from left, right, in front of me and back of me, you know, but in my opinion, years ago I went into Marvin Hagler's training camp a couple of times. A couple of guys I was training, I believe it was Bobby Patterson and Jamal Abu Bakr. I would take them into Hagler's camp in Cape Cod, and it was like a mortuary. It was like a mortuary. You know, there was never no women around. There was never no song and drink around. You know, it was a very bleak camp, but it was where the champion trained at, and it was how he trained, and that was a testimony to the kind of fighter he was. I think that boxers mix too much nonsense. You know, like every gym I go in now, everybody's playing music. You know, that didn't happen when I was a boxer. Music. What music? You heard some music when a car went past in the street, you know?
I used to hear Sonny listening training to Night Train.
Yeah, but, you know, these guys has got Lil Wayne and, you know.
Oh, it depends on music. Oh, it depends what music they listen to, right? James Brown is good, right, to listen to, right?
Yeah, I mean, Muhammad Ali listened to Elvis Presley.
Okay.
But it wasn't all, they didn't have earphones on their head jumping. You know, it's just too much nonsense that has nothing to do with boxing. I'm not saying that having music on is a bad thing, and I'm not saying it's a good thing. But is it necessary? That's what I'm asking. Is it necessary? You trying to learn to perform at an art, you need to give your undivided attention to the teachers, the trainers. You know?
You need some solitude, and you need to have your mind on your technique and your repetition, don't you? Not like going to some beat and getting lost like as you would. Yeah,
I can understand a guy turning some music on, some headphones on. You want to jump rope, your training is over, you want to jump rope, you want to skip rope, you want to bounce around the ring or something, you want to listen, no problem. But when you're in the ring, boxing, all that stuff stops. It all stops. I go in the gym with places where the radio's blaring while the boxing is going on. I'm saying, how could they possibly understand what's going on? They got all this music and stuff on. So it's a lot of distractions, you know, but give me the fighters of the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Give me those fighters any day and let them compete against today's fight. Me and Eddie Chambers were bumping his like, well, these athletes now are bigger and stronger, but are they better? They may be bigger and stronger, but are they better?
You hear that, Lee? Jack Dempsey, yeah? You hear that, Lee?
Mm-hmm.
We was debating about, he was saying about Andy Joshua can beat Jack Dempsey. I'm not trying to put Lee on there. But, you know,
Yeah, it was kind of a brash statement, but my point was someone like Jack Dempsey in the 20s, you know, I just feel like a new generation of fighter. And I did actually argue that Vlad
Joshua brought
Jack
women up
Dempsey.
in size, but I'm talking about if you got two guys basically the same size,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Anthony Joshua is a lot bigger than Jack Dempsey, a lot stronger than Jack Dempsey, and he's a good boxer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'll be very difficult for him to beat a guy with that kind of athletic ability that big.
Yeah, that's what my point was, man.
But
Like,
if you got guys
Kovalev,
with the same jaw, guys that's 6'1", 6'2", you know, anywhere from 200 to 220. You know, you'd have to go with a guy like Jack Dempsey because these guys can punch like a government mule.
I told you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He's just yeah.
yeah, but the argument's credible. The statement, obviously on resume and record, is not credible, but you know, it's a credible comparison.
Mr. Bashir, I want to ask you, yeah. So you said 5% on pads, yeah, because I'm interested in corner work myself. I'm actually trying to get a license to try to be a cornerman. So you said 5% is on the pad. So what's the bulk of the training then to go up to building a fight?
I didn't say 5%. I'm saying 1/5. People try to make pad work the holy grail. They try to make pad work look so essential and making a boxer perform. Yeah, I can agree. You know, when a person is doing something, whether it be right or wrong, that person will always find a means to justify what they do. Well, we're doing it for hand-eye coordination. We're doing it for this, or we're doing it for that. And this is why my guy is really sharp, because I got him on the pads. But what I'm saying was, going back, there was no pads. I don't recall using pads one time as a boxer. No pads. We had the double end bag, the speed bag, and the heavy bag. And we had the advice of the wise old sages that were there in the gyms. And then the 70s come along and the birth of the pads came into play. That's when pads really took off in the 70s. And now you got everybody and their mother that got a pair of pads and they're slapping and they're teaching these kids wrong. I'm all over the world and I see it. They're teaching the kids wrong how to use those pads wrong, and they try to make it like this is what you have to do to become a good boxer. And no, that's not so. That's not so. You don't have to do that. You understand? That doesn't even make up for a fraction of what the sport of boxing is all about.
Yeah, Danny Davis from Philly, like Bernard Hopkins trainer, he was saying the same thing to us. He was saying that the exhibitions that Roger and Floyd do, they're just exhibitions really. They're not really simulating a fight scenario.
No, they're not. I see a lot of guys that emulate that style. And like I said, if you're doing it for aerobic, if you're doing it for stamina, you know, it's credible. If you're going to do that stuff for aerobic or stamina or reflexes, yeah, it's credible. It's all right. But there are a lot of other ways, a lot of more realistic capacities to get it, that kind of results, other than hitting pads. You're slapping the pads and stuff like that, that's not going to happen in a fight. Who's going to take their face and lay it on your glove like that?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to do that. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you're doing this here, bobbing this head, and then secondly, you see how much energy that it takes to do that? It takes a lot of energy to keep up with that deal. So yeah, if you're doing that for conditioning, fine. It's a good workout, but I doubt very seriously if it's going to come into play in an actual boxing match, because you'll be dead in 3 rounds. I can tell you that now. You better have a reserve gas tank in your trunks.
So, what did you take from Saturday and Bernard Hopkins versus Kovalev?
What? Say the question again.
Hopkins and Kovalev on Saturday. What did you get from watching that?
I get the impression that Bernard Hopkins is about to give boxing a bad name. He needs to go away. He lost every round, and in my mind, Kovalev could have knocked him out.
Yeah.
You know, he needs to walk away now while his brains are still intact, because those beatings are going to add up. In 10 years from now, there's no telling what's going to happen to him. You know, He may feel like it now, but each time he steps in that ring, a little piece of him is going away from him that may never come back. So he needs to get out now. He's 49 years old. Get out. Let the young guys, like Kovalev said, let the young guys come in and make a name for themselves. You've been there. Who did he beat? He beat Pascal. He beat Shumanov.
He beat,
Did he beat Tavares Cloud?
yeah, he scored him big time. Yeah, that was good. He beat Shumanov.
Yeah, he beat Shumanov.
Yeah.
And
He's an amateur WBA champ.
Yeah, so he's got those belts. Walk away with history. Just walk away. But no, he wants to stay around. He wants to fight Triple G and, Chavez Jr. One of those guys are going to clip him.
But maybe that's what he needs. I think some fighters have to be, that people say they want to see Burner's DNA on the canvas. Maybe that's what's got to happen.
It's a shame. It gives boxing a bad name. He needs to get out.
Someone like that. Sorry.
After that loss Saturday night, he needs to get out.
Yeah, I agree with you. He should retire now after a good performance, like in my opinion, against a man that powerful and strong at that age. Yeah, I think. But what Beats I think was saying is that someone needs to convince Bernard to retire. By the sounds of it, otherwise Bernard would have probably quit a few years ago.
He should get out. It's old news now. Okay, you had your fun. Get out. And that was a good way. Let me make an example for you. When Roy Jones fought John Ruiz for the heavyweight championship, what better time after winning that belt that night? What better time was there for him to get out than that night?
Yeah.
But isn't that just hindsight for us to suggest that? Because who expected what happened to Roy?
But I said that going into the fight.
Okay.
Where else can you go? You're a little guy like that. You come up, you sneak up on the heavyweight championship. Get out now. You can live off that win forever.
Yeah, yes, right. You could have, man. We'll be still talking about it today, man.
Yeah.
We'd have been talking about, what if he'd have fought this person? No, he couldn't have beat Roy. What if he'd have fought that person? No, he couldn't have beat Roy. He couldn't have. Roy would have did something. Roy would have did it. We'd be on Roy Jones bandwagon forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have been one of the he could have been in the top 1, 2, or 3 man on that.
Yes, because egos.
Yeah.
Ego is what got him in trouble. You're going to take off 25 pounds of muscle because he didn't have no fat. That was 25 pounds of muscle to go back down and try to fight Tonfa. Yep. But if he had got out right after the John Ruiz fight, said, that's it, I'm done. I've been in boxing for years, I'm done. He could have lived off that victory forever.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, my ego going to get me in some trouble. He got to go back down there and loses to Tonfa, you understand, but gets the win. Another way he could have got out. That was the handwriting on the wall. Fights Tonfa again and gets KO'd.
Yeah.
Then fights Ben Johnson and gets KO'd. If ever there was a time to get out of the sport, he still had a way out. He lost all that muscle. He came back down. He got knocked out twice. Get out now. No, he goes over to Russia. Lebedev, KO. Yep. You understand?
Danny Green, Glenn Johnson. I want to ask you this, Mr. Bashir. When should Ali have retired?
After the second Leon Spinks fight. Certainly. After the second fight with Leon Spinks.
Not before then? After, what about Shavers? You don't think the Shavers fight? Pacheco said around the Shavers fight when he should have got out.
Before the Shavers fight, actually, but certainly after the Leon Spinks second fight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Before the Shavers fight, he should have retired, but certainly after the second fight with Leon Spinks. Get out, Muhammad. And then the guy said, sit back, and I think he did get out after the Spinks fight, and he came back to fight Holmes.
Yeah, he did. After the Spinks, he came back. And
what do you think drove him to go and fight Holmes? Just the ego?
Yeah.
Yes, and money.
Wow.
And those guys around him, Angelo Dundee, and all those guys that was around him, Drew Brown, all of those guys was living off of Ali. Ali was paying their mortgages and paying for mistresses and stuff. He was paying for those guys. He was giving them guys money. All of them knew he was sick. They all knew he was sick. They had to know he was sick. I saw he was sick. I was going in and out of that camp in Deer Lake, Pennsylvania for the longest. I was working with Matthew Saad Muhammad, so I was always in the camp, and everybody saw his speech was slowing down and stuff, and they knew he was worth $1. So they threw him in. They knew he wasn't ready for no Larry Holmes. They knew that. I'm telling you what I know, they knew it. But I can get $1 out of them, I'm gonna get. That's how boxing is.
Like that's why they fought the Berbick fight in the Bahamas, so they wouldn't have the stringent medicals to pass, isn't it?
Oh God, that was terrible. Berbick could have stopped Ali. He didn't want to do it. Berbick could have stopped him.
Wow.
Berbick had enough respect for Muhammad Ali where he didn't do it. He didn't do it. Berbick didn't want to hurt him. He could have stopped Ali.
Yeah.
And so you find that in boxing now, where guys are just going to ride the bandwagon till the wagon can't ride no more. I don't ever want to be guilty of being a party to something like that. It's more advantageous for me to come up to a guy and say, you don't have it no more, get out.
Yeah, you was talking about Alan Conyers, your heavyweight. Was it Alan Conyers? I don't know if I pronounced his name right.
Andre Paulette.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Andre Paulette. I told him. He was knocked out 2 times in a row, and I simply told him, sitting in the airport, I told him that this boxing is not for you no more. You got knocked out twice. And I said, listen, you got knocked out twice by these guys. Where are we going in the heavyweight division? Where? Where are we going? We can't go nowhere if we get knocked out by these guys. So you got a nice family, nice wife, kids, get out. There's life after boxing. I tell boxers all the time. My trainer told me a long time ago, he said, I came in the gym, he said, stand here by ringside with me. And he kept on talking to the other fighters, shoot the jab, throw the hook in this. And I kept saying, you want me to change? He said, just wait here by ringside. And I'd asked him, 15 more minutes. I said, you want me to go back and change? He said, I want you to go in the back and empty your lockout for one of these other kids. He said, because you can't see. And it stymied me. Yeah. It was like he dropped me off the Empire State Building. I was like, what? He said, you can't see. I was born with impaired vision. I was born like to see. I can't even, my eyes are so bad I can't even get LASIK vision. I can't get LASIK vision. I'm not a candidate for it. So there's no way of correcting my eyes. So I was born like that. I was born with impaired vision, Nobody ever knew that when I was boxing. Nobody knew that I had bad eyes, But he said, you don't have it. He told me some valuable stuff. He said, listen, man, if you don't have 85% of what you need in this sport, he said, then you got no business in this sport. I said, well, how can I work with 85%? He said, the rest is a con.
Wow.
He said, if you got 85% of what you need, he said, then you con your way the rest of the way. You understand?
Yep.
So you might not be a slick boxer, but you might be a good puncher. You might not be a good puncher, but you might be a good boxer. You might be neither one of them, but you might be fast as hell. He said, the other 15% is just a con. Yep. That was the old school knowledge that was passed on to me. So if you ain't got 85% of what you need in there, you understand? Oh yeah, a good chin don't hurt none either.
Yeah.
If you got the chin,
See, it's like what you said to me the other day, that Hopkins is a con man. That stayed with me, and I said, most boxers are con men. The first person you have to con is yourself. That you are invincible, or at least you're attempting to be invincible. You have to con maybe the medical people.
You see, Hopkins tried to get in that young man's head, and when it backfired, Hopkins had that look on his face like, oh hell, I'm in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The first good clean shot that kid hit him with, you see Hopkins' eyes, look into his eyes, look at his action after he got up. He knew then that I'm in trouble. He didn't really launch an offense in that boxing match. No, he didn't launch. He didn't launch. He launched what he wanted people to believe was an offense, but there was no real offense.
No, yeah. He just stayed out
Because he didn't want to get caught.
So how much was that down to Hopkins' age and how good Kovalev is?
Huh?
So is it all down to Hopkins' age? Is any of it down to that Kovalev might be really, really good?
Kovalev is really, really good. Don't boil down to his age, because the same way Hopkins said, yeah, when I beat him, don't talk about he wasn't as good as we thought he was. That's what Hopkins said. So Hopkins was on his game. He was in good shape, good eyes, good reflexes, but he couldn't do nothing with that kid. He couldn't do nothing. He couldn't land the shots he wanted to. He didn't want to take the risk, because if I risk throwing a punch and this guy counters me, he could knock me out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that Kovalev seemed.
So it became a cat and mouse game. It became a cat and mouse game of, can I go the distance without getting hurt?
Yeah.
That kid was hitting him hard. That kid was punching him hard. Hopkins didn't really offer any resistance to him.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he didn't fall for Hopkins' tricks either. He just stalked him down methodically as well.
Exactly what I'm alluding to. He did not fall for the tricks, and when that didn't happen, Hopkins said, "Game over."
Yeah, see, he cons people into not throwing punches at him all the time, but this guy.
Right. And where he could sneak counter punches in. When the kid didn't give him those, and when the kid had him in the rope, the kid kept using the jab to the body, jab to the body, jab to the body, but keeping his distance at the same time.
Yeah, keeping that master distance. Like, he was very impressive.
So he could make Hopkins reach. He wanted Hopkins to reach, and when you reach, I'm going to counter you. And Hopkins, being the old fox that he is, said, I can't do it because he's too far away. That's why he wouldn't counterpunch.
Hopkins did seem to go out of on his shield like in the last 2 rounds, though. For me, he did try all the whole time. I see what you mean by like fake offenses. I think, and that was just to con Kovalev to think that he was still like trying to do something. But I did feel like he did go out on his shield like in the 11th and 12th a little bit. He did sort of try and throw down.
You see what he got for it in that 11th 12th.
Yeah, he nearly got knocked out, man.
Yeah, you see that. He tried to go out on the shield, and that's more of a sign of what I'm saying. Get out while you're still alive, Bernard. Get out while you're still alive, because every one of them punches is taking tolls on your head, man.
Yeah.
You're taking tolls on your head. You know, you're not going to keep doing that there and think you're going to come out sane. No, it's not going to keep happening.
It's not the ideal way for a 50-year-old man to be spending his Saturday evening. It just isn't. But
No.
He should enjoy his wealth now. Get into the promotional side of it. Work hard.
Yeah, because you can't take it when you go to the grave, can you?
No, you can't. You can't.
Leave it to your kids.
Yeah, but you don't take it with you, though. You know what I'm saying? So you should enjoy your money now. Enjoy what you're doing. So
yeah.
On that note, Mr.
He's going to wind up being another sad story in the sport of boxing if he keeps on. Because it don't take but one punch, one clean shot, and your whole world changes. I've seen it so many times. Now he did a good job. That right there. If he got out on that note right there, he'd be a hero. The Kovalev fight, that's your way out. That's the door. There go the door. Here's your hat and jacket. There go the door.
You know what the problem is, though? He's got people around him telling him that he can give Golovkin a good fight. He can beat Adonis Stevenson. That's what they're telling him. He's got people around him everywhere saying that.
Better chance, yeah. Some people are saying he's got a better chance against Stevenson.
I think he's the lead. He's the leader of the band.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what some fighters need to hear is people cheering them on. And they believe that it's genuine. You know, that's all they need to hear.
Well, I think that's what you said, Beats, earlier on. I think someone needs to show him it's time to retire.
But if a trainer resents what a boxer is doing, he should walk up to the boxer in the privacy of their own space and say, listen, Bernard, I love you, but this is where I get off at. Good luck with that. And walk away. I can't do it no more. I don't want to see you get hurt. That's all you got to do is say, I don't want to see you get hurt. And I
Do you reckon
think
that'll resonate? Do you reckon
Uh,
that?
But in saying that, what about so if you're saying what about guys like Jermaine Taylor? He's got a world title belt. Would you advise him to defend that still, or just throw it
Nope.
away?
he's a shot fighter to me.
Wow.
But he's a world champion. I mean, he probably isn't as paid as Bernard. What does he do?
He should have some money saved up. If he don't, that's his problem. If he don't have any money saved up after all those good paydays he had, then that's his problem. His money's been mismanaged. But what's going to happen? Jermaine Taylor has been knocked out severely on 2 or 3 occasions. Severely knocked out. I mean, he'd have been asleep to the New Year change, you know? So he needs to get out of boxing because he does not take a shot well. And one of those shots may put him out and he might not wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So he won the title back. Hey, go out a winner. Say, you know what? Let this belt go. Somebody else can fight for it. I won the title back. Let me get out while I'm ahead. But if he stays around fighting, somebody's going to hurt him. You see the times he's been knocked out, how he goes out?
Yeah.
Yeah, Abraham, brutal knockout. Yeah.
Abraham knocked him out. Who else?
Carl Froch.
Cole Froch knocked him out in the 12th round. Pavlik done in the first time.
Yeah.
And I mean, when they knocked him out like they hit him with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Yeah. That Abraham one was ruthless. Like, brutal.
And you saw the way Frost knocked him out.
Froch, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Taylor always took damage late on in fights when he was tired.
Both times he was knocked out. When I say out, he was out. You could have rode a locomotive past him, he wouldn't have moved. You understand?
Yeah.
And that's a signal that something is wrong neurologically. Get out.
Yeah, I agree with that. See, James, can I ask you something? Like, a couple of big fights going over here. Well, we got the Chris Eubank Jr. Billy Joe Saunders fight coming up, and then you got the Andy Lee Korobov fight. Who do you think is going to win them fights?
I haven't seen the guy that Andy is fighting. What does he have? I don't know the guy. What does he have?
Well, he's got some amateur background, and he's going to be fighting for the WBO vacant title.
I know, but what does the guy have? What does he have? What does he have to threaten Andy Lee with?
Well, he's a strong fighter, so that's about it really. He's a strong fighter. He can punch a bit. You know, it's just going to be. I think it represents a tough test. That's it. Can Andy Lee? Do you think he's got enough left? Can school him?
Depends again on which Andy Lee shows up. You know, what Andy Lee shows up. Not the one that he boxed Chavez. I know Andy Lee personally. Good friend of mine, you know, and a tough guy and a hard puncher.
Is he a hard puncher? Okay.
Andy Lee's a hard puncher, trust me.
Mm.
Andy Lee's a hard puncher. I've done mitts with Andy Lee, but Andy Lee can punch. All right. What I'm trying to figure is, can he make middleweight at this stage of his life? Can he still make middleweight and be strong?
Mm.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, he is.
You know, and Andy Lee's got to be walking around the streets at least 178 pounds.
No, he actually moved down to like 150. He was trying to go down to like middleweight. Andy Lee.
He fought at middleweight against.
Yeah, he went down to 154. He's coming back up to middleweight.
But he's talking about can he be strong and like because he's jumping weights from he fought against Thingy's son, innit? What's his name again?
Chavez Jr. Yeah.
No, not Chavez Jr. Recently. What's it, Beats?
Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson. He fought against Thingy Jackson's son.
He was taking a beating.
Yeah, he was, and he caught him with a check hook in it. And this guy came in and he was taking up on the ropes, and then that was at 154. And now at middleweight, can he replicate? I understand what you're saying.
He was taking a beating in that fight.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. His last fight, yeah.
Billy Joe Saunders and Chris Eubank, the jury is out on that one.
The jury's out on that one, yeah?
Yeah.
You're just gonna see it. This should be a good fight though. Should be.
That's a pick'em. That's a pick'em fight.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I can't pick a clear winner in that fight. But this is a prime stage for both of those guys to show up on and make a name for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But I can't pick a winner in that fight.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna say like, I don't know if anyone else got any more questions to wrap up because we took up your time and your fight's coming up in a couple of in how many less than 40 something hours, 48 hours the fight's gonna be happening.
Yeah.
What's your prediction on the fight? And what's your prediction on the fight? That's what we're gonna say. Obviously,
I think Vladimir Klitschko wins a unanimous decision over Kubrat Pulev. I think Pulev is a smart enough boxer, clever enough to stay out of the way of the big shots.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Vladimir pulls out the decision on him.
Okay. Will that satisfy Vlad? Because I think Poole has been winding up. You don't think deep down Vlad would like to get him out of there?
Yeah, but I wouldn't suggest it. If I was the trainer, I wouldn't suggest that he go out there with a vendetta. I think that he needs to go out there and stay focused and utilize boxing 101. Win the fight, look good the next time.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about retaining the title, and walking away, and we get better the next time. That's all.
Yep.
I mean, the big thing now is to maintain the title. You've come too far with the title, too many defenses, too many hours and months and years of training to blow it now over some vendetta, some fictitious vendetta, or trying to prove something. All you required to do is go out there and win the fight. And that's what I'm suggesting to him. Go out and win the fight. And I think that we can do that if we stick to boxing 101, using a good jab, a healthy straight right hand. Not a looping right hand, a straight right hand. Just good boxing, good jab. Nothing fancy. Nothing fancy. If you look at guys like Muhammad Ali and Larry Holmes, they never went to the body. Very rarely did they go to the body. Very, very rarely did they go to the body. And Vladimir Klitschko is no exception to the rule. So get behind your jab and a good right hand. A good jab and a good right hand. And we win the fight. I predict that we will win a unanimous decision over Kubrat Pulev.
Okay. No doubt. I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't got any more questions, so
I've just got one quick one. And James, we just did a debate the other day about the best heavyweights of all times. Taking Muhammad Ali out of the equation, who's the best for you?
Oh man, oh God.
If you had to name one.
The best heavyweight of all time, taking Ali out of the equation. You got a lot of good guys out there. Lennox Lewis would have to be one of them. Joe Louis would have to be one of them. It's just hard for me to.
What about Sonny Liston? Would you have Liston up there?
No doubt, I'd have Liston up there. Not even a doubt that I would have him there.
What about Fraser?
Joe Fraser, yeah, Joe Fraser.
Joe Fraser, just too little, I mean, he's a good fighter, but just too little,
What about Dempsey?
Dempsey, good fighter, again, too little. Them guys 187, 190 pounds,
Mm-hmm. Like some people, okay. What about Rocky Marciano versus Sonny Liston? How would that fight go?
Sonny Liston knocks out Marciano.
Yeah.
People don't know what Marciano could punch. Marciano was a tough guy, but let me tell you something. Sonny Liston was a tough guy too that can punch. And Marciano knew that. That leads me to believe why Marciano got out of there when he did. Because he saw Liston coming. He saw it. He saw what Liston was doing to people, and he said, I'm out of here. Eddie OJ at Sunrise, I'm gone. This guy is murdered. Sonny Liston can pound you with left hand, right hand, uppercut, hook, jab, anything. Sonny Liston knocks out Marciano inside of 5 rounds. Styles make fights. Marciano would have came forward, and Liston would have obliged him by knocking him out. Too strong to hit, punch too hard.
What about Mike Tyson? What do you think of him?
Mike Tyson and who?
Mike Tyson going against, one of the greats of that time.
Liston,
whether it
all the guys we mentioned, Liston,
Joe Lewis, all of them.
Mike Tyson can fit in there with any of them. Just as long as Joe Louis don't hit Mike, Mike had a chance. I think Louis would have been too slow for Mike, but if Louis hit him, shit, he can knock Mike out. He could knock Mike out. But but I'm thinking that Mike would have got to him. With the speed, the Mike Tyson between 19 and 24 years old would have knocked Joe Louis out. The Mike Tyson between that time, him and Sonny Liston would have been a brutal fight. That would have been brutal. Because Liston had a good chin and he had good power. He had a lot of heart. I like Liston. He was a beast.
Yep.
You know.
Wow.
All right.
Can I ask about Riddick Bowe? Right, this is one name that's thrown out there. How would you think of Riddick Bowe?
Riddick Bowe never reached his full potential to me. He made a career fighting Evander Holyfield and Andrew Galata.
Yeah, so I think the Riddick Bowe that fought Dokes, after that, the Jesse Ferguson fight, when he started putting on the weight after the round the world trips and that, I think that's when he lost his prime. I think a lighter Riddick Bowe could have fought anyone. Or do you reckon that's a bit too much?
Riddick Bowe screwed up his career when he didn't fight Lennox Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, he was afraid of Lennox Lewis. In my opinion, he was afraid of Lennox Lewis. I'll say it again. Riddick Bowe wanted nothing to do with Lennox Lewis. Nothing to do with it. So we really can't get a gauge on Riddick Bowe. He can't even be mentioned in the breath of the great heavyweights because he never really reached his full potential. He never reached it. He just never did nothing. His claim to fame was fighting Evander Holyfield 3 times.
Yep. That pretty much sums Riddick Bowe,
Yeah. That was it. He closed the gate on dropping the belt in the garbage. He didn't. The deal was that the winner of Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, fights the winner of Razor Ruddock and Lennox Lewis. And then when Lennox won it, he backed out.
When he poleaxed Ruddock, he didn't want none of that.
One more name. George Foreman. Where does he rank amongst all them guys?
George Foreman rates right there to me in the top 3.
Mm-hmm. He could fight. Yeah, he could fight you at any age, couldn't he?
In the top 3 heavyweights of all time, George Foreman is somewhere in that top 3. All right?
Okay.
Challenging anybody. I don't care who you put in front of him. Joe Louis, Sonny Liston, Boo Boo Thompson. George Foreman gives you big problems and maybe even knock you out.
Let me ask you a question slightly, just kind of deviating from it. See Joe Calzaghe, where would you rank Joe Calzaghe? I don't even know about him as an all-time great.
Well, Joe Calzaghe sent messages earlier, and people overlook this part of his career. He fought Charles Brewer and Byron Mitchell early on in his career. I think Mitchell had him down. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did, but he come back and knocked him out. This is my argument, yeah.
Yeah, Mitchell had him down, right?
Yeah, he had him down. He got caught with a big shot on the inside, but then as Mitchell come to put it on him, Calzaghe caught him with a wild left and rocked his boat, and then just just remembering those fights was very early in his career. Mm-hmm. He fought Brewer and Mitchell. When he won those 2 fights, I thought to myself, watching Calzaghe, that this guy is going to cause problems. He can cause problems because he showed that he had the courage. That's a big thing in boxing that people overlook. It don't care how good you can box, how hard you can box. You got to have courage. Calzaghe had courage. Those 2 fights let me know he had courage. And doing so, he went out undefeated. So you got to put him right there in the top 5 of all time because he went out undefeated. People say, yeah, but he didn't fight this person. He didn't fight that person. He didn't fight this. Yeah, but he went out undefeated, man. And he fought what was there. Calzaghe could fight. He don't get credit for his boxing style. Everybody can't be a great big puncher. He was a good boxer, and he won the fights he was supposed to win. Yeah, because Kawasaki could box you traditional style, you know, like the southpaw stance. He could come straight shots down the pipe, or he could do your moving about off the back foot with the hands down, sort of like showboating boxing. He could also fight on the inside well, and he did have a good chin as well. Showed courage, heart, you know, and he did, and
Good
you know,
chin, good heart, good boxing style. He goes in the
and
top 5. He's in the top 5. And I like the fact that he
Top
got out
five
of boxing.
all-time boxers.
Huh?
Top 5 all-time boxers.
No, top 5 all time super middleweight.
Oh, right. Okay. Super middleweights.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Middleweight.
That clear for the people listening.
Yeah.
yeah.
Super middleweights.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, super middleweights. And that goes a long way for me that a guy can stay undefeated for as long as he did. And I like the fact that he got out at the right time and he never looked back. I'm proud of him, and I hope that he stays out, that he never comes back.
Yeah, because
He
he
might be making
people,
a comeback.
Huh?
well,
There's rumors like maybe the Warden Frostbite attempting him back. That's what we heard.
Please. I wouldn't want him. Kazaki's been out, what, 5 years?
yeah, he looks like a heavyweight. He's bit like when you see him next to the super middleweights on a show we have ringside. Yeah, he's been out 5 years because he's already inducted to the Boxing Hall of Fame. So he looks too big. Like his whole neck and everything about him just looks huge. He couldn't get down to 12 stone.
I hope that that's not true. I really do, because it gives boxing a black eye. He needs to stay out the way Lennox stayed out. Don't look back.
Mm-hmm.
Let it go. Let the young guys come. Don't come back trying to take their place. Just manage your money right where you don't have to come back. You know?
Easier said than done for boxers. Easier said than done. Well,
Yeah,
that's what past history tells us. Easier said than done.
But all the boxers out there that's listening, make your mark while you're doing it, and then when you close the door on it, keep the door closed. Go train boxers. Go manage boxers. Go open a promotional company, but don't come back, because you get the sport a bad name. You know, these old guys coming back trying to do this, trying to do that, manipulating. They're going to get hurt. They're going to get hurt sooner or later. You know, Kawasaki was a beautiful boxer to me. Everybody, no, he did this, he did that, but he was undefeated. If he's doing this or that, what you need to do is go out there and beat him. If you can't beat him, then sit down, shut up, and watch like me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Kawasaki was that kind of guy. He beat Hopkins. They said if Hopkins fight, Hopkins really beat him. Hopkins didn't really beat him. Hopkins didn't really beat him. It was an interesting fight, but going down the stretch, Kawasaki is the one that was winning the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had him win the fight. I had him win the fight going into the 12th round, 11th round.
Although people had him winning, it was close. I mean, it was close.
It was a close fight, but you know, I think Kawasaki obviously threw the punches and he did pull away. I think he was getting conned early by Bernard.
Yeah.
For about 4 rounds, like especially after the first round, like the first minute, getting like caught with a punch he didn't even see, because I don't think he even respected Bernard's power. But anyway, he did start to take over middle rounds to me. He was the one throwing all the shots, and Bernard was going through that stage of his career where he was buying time, where he was like taking whole minutes out and doing stuff. Anytime someone went near him, he would start saying they hit him low and all that sort of stuff. Like, I think that's why people went off Bernard for a while. That's why I'm surprised he come back so strong in these last few years, because he went for about three fights. Like,
He came back so strong because the competition was so weak. Pascal, Cloud, and Shumanov, those guys were weak opposition because they had no game plan. They looked like they had been trained by a shoe salesman.
Yeah. They just followed him about and let him just blitz them.
Through the fights, they looked like they didn't know what they were doing. I said, these guys are professional champions. You know, and the guy Shumanov, he really didn't look like he knew what he was doing.
He didn't have a coach, apparently.
Yeah.
Thus what I was saying earlier about the state of boxing. He didn't have a coach. I heard that he didn't have a coach. I'm going to fight the fight. And Bernard knocked him down, right?
Yeah.
Please, give me a break. Give me a
It
break.
was ridiculous, really. I mean,
Yeah.
a championship fight and you haven't got a coach.
It's just like you asked me about the Anthony Joshua. You know, you asked me about Joshua, his chances of reaching great heights with the training styles he had. I don't know them, but I don't think so. From what I've seen, I don't think so. You
Tim
know,
Witherspoon was saying that the other day as well.
who?
Tim Witherspoon was saying when you see Anthony Joshua, because he comes over to England a lot, he'd like to work with him because he sees a few holes in his defence and his fluidity between the two. You know, he thinks he could help him a lot to sort of like know when to throw in certain positions and
You
that.
know what happens with these kind of guys? It takes a loss for them to open their eyes and see that I got to get better teachers.
Yeah. They shouldn't have to do that though, should they? They shouldn't. But
unfortunately, that's how it goes.
Yeah, it's terrible, man.
It takes a loss for these guys to open their eyes and say, "Damn, I got to get some better teachers."
Yeah.
Look at Latimer Klitschko. Look at Lennox Lewis. It took losses, devastating losses in their careers to say, "Well, I gotta open my eyes. I gotta get better teachers. I gotta get better people who are better suited to train me than the people that's had me." You understand? I've got to get better suited teachers than the people who have had me and trained me. And I'm telling you, I see some holes in Joshua's defense and offense. You know, I see holes in it.
See, that's a good example of that. It's like, do you remember Amir Khan beats when he went from, I think he went from Harrison to that Cuban dude, like to work on his hand speed and that, and then he ends up going out trying to trade with Prescott in the first round and gets blitzed.
It wasn't the cleverest one, no. It wasn't very
No, I thought that was to do with that. See, to be fair, because Harrison is like he's quite defensive minded as well. So like, he would install some
people
some fundamentals.
When you say things about fighters, like Witherspoon was saying about Joshua, like I'm saying about Joshua, and I'm sure other people who are watching him are going to say the same things. It's a misnomer that these guys are angling to be the trainers for me. No, I'm not angling to be the trainer. I don't think Witherspoon's angling. It's just that when you see stuff like this here, you say, I can offer him some things. I can offer him a better style than what he's showing here now. Because I'm under the impression that people think because he's big and strong and athletic, that's going to get him over the hump. No, it's not. Oh, no, it's not.
Yeah. And you see, the thing is, man, he's got so many, like, cheerleaders and flag wavers. And I keep warning the British fans about flag waving because they keep saying, like, well, when people mention the first Dillian White fight, they say, oh, they was amateurs. And there's another film where he got stopped in the European and the guy just kept clocking with him with the left hook and stopped him. And when you mention these things about and how Eris Landy Savon beat him in the Olympics, they say all this stuff doesn't matter because he's a pro now. You know, the only difference is he doesn't have a vest on.
Well, it does. When because I'm one of these flag wavers. I admit, James. Right? I'll say it. No, I am. But what the thing is, as you pointed out earlier on, James, I think it's been less than 6 years to the day, and he had one whole year out between the Olympics and turning pro. He walked in a boxing gym about 6 years ago to the day. And that's pretty remarkable, getting a silver medal in the World Championship away in Kazakhstan against a Kazakhstani fighter, and then getting an Olympic gold medal the next year, and then turning pro and getting to the level of competition he's already at that quickly when he's been in boxing that little of a time. You know, I can see why people are getting carried away with the dude. And these fights in the amateur days, the early amateur days, before he even went to the World Championships that Beats was talking about, you know, they could well have been a learning curve. The guy would have only been in a boxing gym probably about a year or two when he's fighting them fights.
Look, Lee, when you fight in the amateurs, yeah, at this stage of Joshua's career, you actually fight better people at amateur level than he's fighting now. Yeah, that's why the flag waving is dangerous, because at the stage when you're fighting in the Olympics and European Championships, you're actually fighting better people than you are as a pro.
I
The
understand
top
what you
level
mean
amateurs
to
are
a
better
certain
than
extent.
Backtop and Thing at the stage they're at now. They're better.
Yeah, but there's different situations. You got the different size gloves. You got the headgear. You know, you've got all them. You know, people are a lot braver when they got headgear and bigger ounce gloves.
Look,
When
man.
you've got
Look,
when you got, you know, the variables change a little bit,
look.
and you
I've been
know,
watching British
and he has
heavyweight
grown up.
boxing a lot longer than you have. There's been a lot of flag waving, and then when Bone Crusher come over here and knock Bruno out, and you know they can't believe it. They can't believe this because look. There's guys out like we were just talking. The Eastern Europeans are hungry. They're not like people over here. They're hungry. They don't have certain things. They're hungry. They are the new African Americans in terms of boxing. They're
But
hungry.
sometimes, yeah, but sometimes I attribute that with the pure amounts of people, but you don't necessarily. They're gonna churn out more fighters because of that reason. But it doesn't necessarily mean you don't get a hungry, focused guy like Chris Algieri. Is
And
one
we
of
have
the
to debate. Mr. Bashir is here. Yeah, we're taking up his time here. Yeah,
no,
we're gonna
I'm
use
all
every
right.
minute of
I'm all right.
Mr.
I'm all right.
Mr. Bashir's time in it because obviously,
yeah.
I'm all right. I'm all right, man.
okay.
So sometimes you can get like Algieri, like from what I've been seeing, he was like a rich kid and stuff like that, but he seems to be very like determined and driven. You know,
He's won
sometimes
one
even rich.
controversial fight.
Yeah, but I'm just using
One
that. That's a bad
controversial
example.
fight.
But you can get people from a good upbringing that can make it good. You don't necessarily mean as long as they've got hard work and dedication.
Look,
You know,
all what you're saying is all well and good. The facts bear out. Most boxers come from. I mean, the elite boxers have come from a relatively hard background. That's just how that goes.
yeah. The majority of it, yeah. But you know, there is the cases. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, look at Marco Antonio Barrera.
He's an anomaly. He's the exception to the rule. The rule still stands.
Yeah, he came from a pretty good home. I just think fighters are born. You know, they're born. I really believe that. There's something in the fighters that make them fighters, just like there's something in tennis players that make them tennis players.
You don't think that the conditions for African Americans in the '60s that you don't and '50s and '40s, you don't think that that just bred athletes who are more determined?
Well, on that same
No,
belief, there
I was
should be.
asking Mr. Bashir that actually.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, man.
I think that they were born to be fighters. It doesn't matter whether it's the 40s or the 70s or the 90s. I think there was a certain gene inside of them that says that they were born to be fighters. Because just picking up some gloves because you need some money is a difficult thing to do.
But it's got to be an attitude thing as well, because you was even saying like these guys don't listen to the coaches.
Right. And then there's got to be something in the biological makeup and the mental makeup that says, I can be a fighter. Like you said, you got to convince yourself first that this is what I want to do.
True.
Because going out there picking up some gloves and going to the gym and training, that first shot in your mouth, when you first get in your mouth and get hurt, that's the answer to the question. Do you want to be here or do you want to go to work for UPS? You know?
Yeah. You see, on that same belief beats, there's like poor countries in Africa, man, and lots of population there, but you know they're not churning out loads of fighters there, though, are they? You know,
No, hell no.
on that belief, there should be loads, cause stacks of them coming out of there every year.
Mm-hmm.
But how much of them are turning to boxing though? That's the thing. And
Yeah, that's a thing. You know, because there could be people out there that are actually born fighters. Yeah, they just never try their hand at it. But if they're part, because most fighters, when they tell you stories and like they tell you how they come into boxing, it's sort of like it's fate. It's sort
like
of
them
bump
kids in
into.
Mexico who become flyweights they're literally fighting to eat. They're literally fighting to eat. Like see Morales, like him and Burrow didn't get on because he come from a rough part, and he was basically fighting to eat. They turned pro at 14 and 15. They're hungry.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be something in it. In the poverty argument has to come into some of the equation.
Of course.
Well, yeah, the poverty of it would get them into trying fighting in the first place, wouldn't it? To bump it there, yeah. And obviously bred up tough. Yeah, no, yeah, I agree with that. 100%. You can't argue it. There is a connection there, a big connection.
Yeah, man.
Well,
But you know, it is what it is. If anyone's got anything else, we can wrap it here. Or unless anyone else got anything. It's been a great conversation. It always is, man. It always is.
Yeah, Mr. Bashir was a learner, definitely a learner. Every time we talk to Mr. Bashir, we always learn something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for that, Mr. Bashir.
you know what? I realize that people in this life possess things and they never want to share with nobody. And they really don't sit back and examine that when they came from their mother's wombs, they didn't know nothing. They didn't know nothing. But yet and still, they'll have something and they won't share it. And if you can't share it, then what's the use of you having it? Because nobody stays on this earth forever. So if you can expand yourself, say, look, this is what I know, and you share with others, then that's an extension of yourself. That's my belief. That was my mother's belief, you know, to share yourself. Nobody comes into this life knowing nothing. Nothing. What do we get? Everything we get, we learn from who? Other human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So when I'm in the gym with a boxer, I wouldn't care if he was a 4-round beginner or a 12-round championship fighter. I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting the same energy into that 4-round guy who's just starting out as though I was working with a guy that was doing 12 rounds. Because I love what I do. And I want to teach the sport. I don't want to make a mockery of the sport. Like most of the people that I see in the sport now, you got people in the sport, fly-by-night guys that really don't know what they're doing, and they're messing up boxers, and boxers are not wise enough to see that they're being messed up. So, for those people out there listening who are boxers, who are training boxers, who are handling boxers, who are managing boxers, it's best that you get under somebody that knows what the hell they're doing and ask. Ask for their help. Ask for their information so that you can teach the boxers better. Because right now, boxing is in the doldrums, especially in Great Britain and the United States. Boxing is going down the tube. The Eastern Bloc is going to take over boxing. Mark my words.
Yes.
Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Moscow, Ukraine, they're going to take this sport over.
You know, I tell you who could contest them. But it would take the communism ideology to maybe cut a little slack. The Cubans, if the Cubans were to turn pro more often, maybe they could get a foothold in.
Yeah.
They're getting soft too.
Yeah, probably are.
They're getting soft too.
Yep.
Eastern Bloc, Moscow, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, those are.
Yep.
You know the UK fight scenes on the up.
Azerbaijan and them countries.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the rise.
Yeah.
But they're hungry.
Yeah, but they control all the amateur boxing as well. Because I was putting an argument across the other week on one of my things I was doing, basically about all the great American champions, the greatest of all times. Majority of them were Olympic medalists, or someone like Mike Tyson didn't even. The standard was that good he couldn't even make the Olympic team. Like 2 years before he became the youngest heavyweight champion in the world. You know, like, I think there's a clear link somewhere along the line. Even like Floyd Mayweather, he was an Olympian. Somewhere along the line, how America have been doing really poorly in the Olympics. All these Eastern Bloc countries are dominating the Olympics, dominating the rankings.
There's a lot of factors, isn't it? That, like we discussed, the coaching isn't as good. and they're not listening. They're not listening to the coach. Like I think the argument with the strength conditioning is very true. And Danny Davis said the same thing. What you said, it's funny. He said nearly identical what you said with the pad work. Like people are watching Floyd, and but it's kind of like Harlem Globetrotter boxing, isn't it? It's exhibition stuff, really. It's show.
Yeah, it's just like what you do on the media day, innit? Your media workout, get on the pads and ring, blah 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 blah, show off a little bit.
Yeah,
I get that.
I don't subscribe to that. I try to make pad work related to what they're going to do in the actual fight.
Yes, sir.
You gotta keep it simple. You do what you do in the fight. Everything should be relegated around what you're going to do in the fight. Nothing more and nothing less.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then what's the point? Is running 10 miles? What's the point? Because you don't do that in a fight.
Exactly. That's why I don't have my boxers to run. I don't like it. In fact, I'm totally against running.
Okay.
When I tell boxers that, they look at me and say, "What?" I say, "I don't like running. I don't want my boxers running." Because what happens, it breaks down the body over a period of time. The hips, the shins, the calves.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah, you get that. That breaks people down, man.
That ended Richie Woodhull's career. That's what ended Richie Woodhull's career. His road work, the running. His back.
Yeah, because you're constantly pudding down, man, getting like... So, yeah, I've heard of fighters getting shin splints and that, and they have to stop the road work, and they attribute that to why they lost the fight and stuff. But mental. Yeah, I can think about that. So what'd you do? How'd you get their cardio up? Just boxing, innit?
My method to training boxers is just like the methods doctors use in hospitals around the world. Same thing that attorneys use in the courtroom. When you pay me, I'll teach you. Yeah, I'm not here to give other trainers around the world ideas about how to be like I am, because I paid to get here, and they're gonna have to pay too.
Yep.
Now, if boxers out there listening want to learn something, contact me. Contact me with a contract, and I'll teach you what I know, what I've learned over these years about that. Because I've been on every spectrum of this sport. And I know for a fact that running is not the best way to get a guy in shape for a fight. You have guys that swear by it. And who am I to say, no, it don't work? The only thing I'm saying is I don't subscribe that my boxers do it. I ask them not to do it. Here, this is what I offer you in replacement of that running. I got something that's just as good, that's just as beneficial or better for their cardio, for their stamina, and for their strength. I got just as solid a program that will have them in just as good shape or better shape.
Yeah, that's like
without the stress on their body. But sooner or later, your hips, your thighs, your calf, your back is going to give out. That ground is not going to give in. That ground has been here for billions of years. You just got here. And you'll be just leaving here, and the ground is waving to you, see you. You understand? So, again, you go in the yellow pages, you go in the directory book around the world, and you'll find thousands and thousands of attorneys and thousands of doctors. But they are elite attorneys, elite doctors, and elite trainers that's separated from the pack. You learn through your investment. If you're investing in a dollar store trainer, then you're going to get dollar store information.
Yep.
If you invest in a wise sage of a trainer, then you're going to get wise sage advice. I'm here to teach boxing, but I mean to get paid for my expertise.
Yes.
I'm not running a charity organization here.
That's right.
I do this for a living. Now, if you want to excel in the sport, I'm not saying I'm the only one that know, but I am saying that I'm one of few left in the world today that knows the ins and outs of the sports. And there's a lot that the trainers out there need to learn that they refuse to learn because they're arrogant bastards. I've never seen such a time when the young people were so arrogant that they don't go to elders to learn nothing.
Okay.
Their grandmothers, their grandfathers, their great-great-grandmother, their great-great-grandfather, they don't go to them to learn nothing. I know. I had a young guy in camp just recently, in this camp. A young wise guy. I like the guy. You guys know the guy, but I'm not going to call the guy's name. I'm not going to put him on blast, but he's a wise guy. And he could be a good athlete, a good boxer, but he's a freaking wise guy. And that's going to stunt his growth because he knows so much. He knows so much. He knows so much that you can't tell him nothing because he always talking about this is how I do it. How can you do it when you're not even 30 years old yet? What do you know? At freaking 30 years old, what do you know? What do you know at 25 years old? What do you know at 20 years old? You haven't even lived yet. So what, you're going to tell me what you know? I shake hands with him and say, young man, I wish you luck with that. And by the time you find out, chances are your chance will be to pass you by because you know.
So is that arrogance worse from the kids or the youngsters in Europe or America? Where does it show up worse?
America. And many of the guys in Britain has turned out to be like guys in America.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all get given too much too easy now. You know, like I used to have to do dishes.
Wait, hold on.
They're taking on that same persona that Americans take on. The British fighters are taking on the same persona. That hip hop mentality, I'm smarter than you mentality. And it's like the tail of the tortoise in the hare. You understand? Where the Europeans are just the turtle. They're the tortoise just moving along gradually. And now they're moving to the forefront because the hare done took a break. They sat on the side of the road, fell asleep, and they're just going to walk right past them to the finish line. Because these guys know so much. They're so smart. You can't tell them. I go in gyms around the world, and I can count the young men, the young trainers on one hand that will come up to me and say, hey, man, could you help me? Or could you tell me something about boxing? None of them do it. None of them come up to me and ask me nothing because they think that they know. And I look at the numerous mistakes they make, and I say, boy, these guys don't know. But it makes it easier for me to beat you with my fighter when we meet. Because I see countless flaws in your whole program that you don't even realize. Why? Because you never asked me. As a young trainer, I asked questions 24/7 wherever I was, with whoever I was. And most of the guys I asked questions for is dead now. Walter Smith, Bill Miller, Luther Burgess, Tommy Parks, Bobby McQuillan, Slim Robinson, Sam Solomon, these guys, Percy Richardson, Carmine Graciano, Eddie Allen, the list goes on. I was around a lot of great boxing people, great boxing minds, and I always pumped them for information. And I got that information right in my head now because I wasn't too proud to go and say, look, what about this or what about that? The young trainers now think that they're smart guys, they think they know, and they don't know jack. I see them all of the time, wherever I go, even on the internet I see them. They don't know what they're doing. And the fighters, that employ these people as their trainers, you got to be kidding me.
Wow. Yep.
You got-
Yeah. That's real talk there. That's real talk.
They got to be kidding. They got to be kidding me.
James,
Yeah.
yeah. What do you think of the fighters this day and age that are not fighting each other on the regular? So, like, the challenges they're not taking, they're all sort of avoiding mandatories or claiming that they need, or they're not getting paid enough money for that kind of fight and that sort of stuff.
If you got a girlfriend that's earning 45, 50,000, 60,000 a year, 70,000 a year, $80,000 a year, she's letting you lay up in her house, eating free, having sex for free. You're driving around her car. You ain't paying no bills. How are you gonna become a good fighter? You're not hungry. Why? Because you got a girl taking care of you. So a lot of these guys, they have wealth. They have accessibility to different things. And they don't have any hunger, any desire. That's why I was saying, in these other countries, these people are deprived of a lot of things that the British people have and the American people have. They don't have a lot of those things in those countries. They don't have a lot of those things, and they work harder. They come in and they work harder. You know, they're blue collar workers.